Every once in a while in life, something really extraordinary happens, and it changes everything. And that's what I want to share with you. Look at this. It is so exciting. The dynamics of this color. But that is a result of some extraordinary things that have happened in my life that I want to share with you, because the result of that has been something that has allowed me to land in paradise over and over. And what I discovered is that when I followed a blueprint, I could get from point A to the point where it was absolutely magical. Where did all that begin? It's like I said, times in life, things really extraordinary happen to us. It can be a financial turnaround, either good or not so good. It can be a new relationship, the breakup of a new relationship, wanting to go to school, finding that desire inside that you want to write a book. It can be all kinds of things. You want a promotion at work, and on and on. But those are extraordinary events that once it gets put into play, everything changes. Where did my journey begin? Well, I started at a zero lifestyle as an abandoned 2-year-old, and I have worked on and on to make some really significant changes. That pattern, which has worked for me over and over again, is what I really want to share with you, because I'm so passionate about it. And it's reflected in all of these colors and this relaunch and things that actually work. For my extraordinary event, it was one of those kick-in-the-butt events, or events that we plan. They're events that happen that we don't know about. They're events that we respond to that are like a little inner voice inside of us, or a really loud voice inside of us. But whatever it is, we begin to start to think about life in a different way. That event also, right now, has occurred more worldwide than it ever has before. The onset of COVID, all of a sudden climate changes that are just hitting us in the face, different financial circumstances, all those things are really making us reflect on, what do I want to do with my life? What is my life? And that blueprint that I discovered I was following, which allowed me to get some really meaningful results, is what I want to share with you from step one all the way through. And I want to start with that one that was a kick in the butt event that began to change everything. One day, it was a pretty sunny day, kind of those days when you say, oh God, this is going to be a really great day today. And we're thinking, yeah, we have my cup of coffee, I'll do a little scrolling, and then I'll get busy. Beautiful day. Well, that was exactly what I did. However, I sat down, and as I was scrolling, I came across a picture. And it was a picture of a house that was like my house. And I noticed that they were trying to promote the sale of a house similar to mine. It was really only a few blocks away, but it had a full basement, which mine did not have, and they were going to sell it for $10,000 less. I totally freaked out. I went, oh my God. And I'm sure you can guess at what point in time this was. 2008, really one of the worst global meltdowns we'd ever had. Well, I guess I was like a lot of people. Yeah, I heard about people losing their money, losing their house, losing their stocks, losing everything. And I felt really bad, but hey, that was out there, which is a lot of times what we humans do to deal with stories like that. However, this time it came knocking on my door, and I went, oh man, what am I gonna do? This is horrible. Because it was one of those times when the dominoes began to fall so fast. There wasn't any way to catch it, to stop it. I went to lawyers, I went to bankers, I went to financial managers, I went to real estate people. I said, what's going on? What am I gonna do? This is horrible. And finally one real estate person said to me, Auden, I know, even though you have been playing the game right, you did not have any bad loans, you had great credit, you did everything right. The rules of the game have changed and we don't know what they are. And I went, oh shit, now what am I gonna do? So that was where I began to click in and began to plan. Mind you, at that point in time, I was 71. I had a 3-bedroom house, 2 bath, full of furniture, big garage full of a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have had. Now what? So it was really looking at taking life a step deeper. And I began to focus on, things aren't working so well for me here in the country, which then was the US. And I had already lived in Singapore for a number of years, so living internationally felt okay. And I began to look around and decided that I'm going to move to another country. So this 3-bedroom house full of furniture and 2-car garage, blah, 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 shrunk, believe it or not, to 4 suitcases. And off I went, sitting on an airplane, 71 years old, had never been to the country I was going to before, did not know anybody, did not know the language. But what I had was what I called the big B. And that was, I believed that I was doing the right thing. There was a lot of deep, deep belief in that. And the result of that was that it launched 10 of the best years of my life. Now, were there other events prior to that I had, unbeknownst to me, been using this blueprint that I want to tell you about, that I really want to strongly urge you to understand and to grasp. Because with the kind of world that we have today, if we don't have guidelines, if we don't have some steps to follow, yes, steps with flexibility, but that lay a foundation, it makes it so much harder. Prior to an event that I just told you about, there have been other events in my life, probably just like yours. I decided when I was in my early 40s that I wanted to leave the Midwest in the United States. I am a lover of going camping and the outdoors, had spent a lot of time with my kids when they were a lot younger to go to Colorado, camp in the mountains. Man, I thought that was heaven, and I'm going there. I want to go to Vail, Colorado. I usually don't pick the lesser of the choices. I go, okay, I'm going to go to Vail, Colorado. And I would tell myself, if things don't work out there, because I was starting a business, I could be a maid in Vail, Colorado. Things could be worse in life, right? So I went to Vail with my kids. I wanted them to have that outdoor life. No, I never had to be a maid, but that was kind of my security that was allowing me to think about that. Was a single mother, and everything landed again in paradise. So how did this Life Relaunch Blueprint really start to formalize itself? It started to formalize itself probably about 5 years ago, when I began to think, I keep ending up in these paradise situations all the time. I must be doing something right. So as a psychologist, I have a doctorate in psychology, that I think I can figure this out. And so I began to step back, and I began to look, and I began to think, and I began to realize that there are 4 strategies that I was following. And I'm going to put those in 4 letters to make it easy for us to remember. And those 4 letters are DPAC. Well, what's that? Okay. The 4 strategies, the first being D, is to dare boldly. And today we're really called upon to get out there and dare boldly. We can't come up with some of the same answers, the same processes that we used to use to do things like from years ago. We're living in a totally different world today. So the first strategy, D, is we have to dare boldly. The second one is P, and we have to plan caringly. I mean, we usually say, well, we have to plan with care, so on and so forth, but we have to plan caringly about ourselves, caringly about others, caringly about the planet. And this is one of the things that makes this process really so unique, is that it takes the full picture of what makes us passionate, what gives us meaning, what can carry us forward, where we have a bit more of a foundation in this world that we're living in today. So that was D, P, so DPOC. We're now at A, and that's to act consciously. So after we've put all this together, and we've planned caringly, and we have been daring boldly, we really have to act in ways that show a very deep kind of soul consciousness. Consciousness that when we say, my next step is going to be whatever your next step is, but it's full of that soul level of living very consciously with your values, with a way that you want your lifestyle to be, that not only cares for us, your family, others, but for the earth. So the C of Deepak is to commit completely. And it's like, by then we've hit the launch button and we're going down this river, and it's going pretty rapidly, so there's no turning around and coming back. Or it's like you've landed on an island and it's like, hey guys, burn the boats and burn the bridges because we got to make this work. So those really are the 4 strategies. And you might say, well, okay, Deepak, I got that one. I understand how it's got to be different today because we're living in such different times. But you say, oh, well, how do I dare boldly? That sounds good, but I need some guidelines for that. So that, my friends, is where all these great hats come in. So I connected these steps with the things that we need to do so that we can remember. Because anything we do that we don't attach it to something else, we have a tendency to go, shoot, I forgot about that. What was that? I want you to attach these to colors, and then it starts to make sense. So, and I'm also going to attach it to my life, and I want you to attach it to your life. So when we dare boldly, the first color is red. Why? Well, today, again, I want to reiterate why it's so important for us to think differently today is that we have to start from foundations. So foundation with the red is we have to focus. And God knows that we have a difficult time focusing today with all the distractions. Our brain is going 1,000,000 miles an hour in so many different ways. So when I was in the middle of that horrible financial crash, crumbling around my ears, my brain was going, oh my God, this is terrible. Oh, this is awful. Now what is going to happen to me? All was gone to hell in a handbasket. I had to really focus. Red is focus. Red gives us that power to really tune into what do you want. I could focus on how horrible everything was because it was really horrible. But I began to realize that I was not focusing properly. So that's the first step in Dare Boldly. The second step, because there's 2 parts to it, is that we have to reignite our power. What has happened to us with the COVID and all the uncertainty, we've kind of lost, don't really feel so powerful anymore. I don't know what to do. I feel lost with this. I feel lost with that. So yellow, the power of the sun, if you want, is to remind us that we have to bring that power back in. And we have to focus on the things that are going to create that power in us again. And these 2 steps in Dare Boldly is going to take you into developing the other steps with more meaning, with more knowledge, with more confidence than you've ever had before. So the next step that we have is to plan caringly. So this one I really love. This is orange. And orange is kind of where yellow and red come together. It's really adventurous. So when my life had crumbled around me and I'm beginning to say to myself, things aren't going so well here. And for me, here meant in the United States, because I saw it like, wow, this is happening to so many people. I began to look other places. I'm not saying that's what you do, but what you do need to do is to think adventurously and think of orange. Like thinking adventurously can think about degrees that you wanted to get, books that you wanted to write, a status that you wanted to attain. So many things. The relationship that you wanted, the relationship you're in that you don't want. But to get out of that, we have to think adventurously. And I call it diamond mining, and I really like that phrase because there's a lot of diamonds inside of us. Sometimes we don't know them. Sometimes I have to really call on that B that I was telling you about, believe, especially when we're walking to an unknown. Remember then I was like 71 and I'm going into a place where I don't know people, I don't know the language, I don't know. So that's very adventurous with the daring boldly kind of combined right there. So the next step in this Deepak process that you're on is to act consciously. Oops, you know what? I forgot one part, which is a really important part. It's the part after orange, and that is green. And you know what? You're going to do this in an imperfect way too, but doing it is what makes the difference. Green is where the growth happens. Green is what you begin to feel, that stretch inside. Sometimes that, oh my God, now what am I doing? Have I been too adventurous? But no, it's looking at, what do I value? What are my core values that maybe I've forgotten, I'm not living with them anymore, and I want to bring them back in. Or maybe I'm really stepping way out there and I'm in a growth stretch mode where I can feel that inside of me. when you feel that this is a little scary, then we know that we are growing. So, okay, back to the A. The A is to act consciously. Acting consciously is the part in this process. It's the purple hat, and it's where, the best way I can explain it really is astronauts, and they're taking off into space. But we all know, like weeks before, they're double checking everything to make sure that as best as they can determine it, they have everything in place before that final launch button is hit. Because you are going to hit it, just like I did when I got on that airplane at 71, going to a country I'd never been to before, didn't know anybody, didn't know the language, and ended up launching 10 of the best years of my life. You are going to do that as well when you begin to follow these steps. They are workable over and over and over again. So then you might say, okay, we've done D, P, A. C is to commit completely. I mean, once we're on that airplane or once the rocket has taken off, we can't turn around. The water is flowing very rapidly and we can't turn it around. We are totally committed to this. Scary? Yeah, but we're gonna feel the fear, do it anyway. We have some programs in connection with all of this that helps people with how do you overcome obstacles, how do you deal with resilience. And so this blue, which is that step to commit completely, is what allows us so many times, if we use these processes, which gives us control, which gives us confidence, we can land in paradise over and over again. Take this to heart, follow these things. I'm going to go through Deepak again quickly. D, dare boldly. That is so important today. P is to plan caringly about yourself, others, and the planet. Can't ignore that anymore. A, act consciously. So it's not like, oh, I want to do this or I have a passion for that. We've got to bring this together with a real soul conscience. And then C, commit completely. And I hope that you are going to take this into your life like I have. I've done it over and over again. And for me, it's always landed in paradise.